Hey everyone, welcome back. In the previous video, we explored the basics of HTML and CSS using W3 Schools. We learned what HTML and CSS mean, how websites are structured, and how developers use code to create web pages that people interact with every day on the internet. Now, in part 2, I'm going to walk you through some of the tools you'll need to start building websites properly. The beginner developer will be looking at tools like Visual Studio Code for writing code, browsers for testing websites, and other useful tools that help developers stay organized, work faster, and improve productivity while coding. I'll also show you how to set everything up correctly, create your first project files, organize your folders properly, and preview your website directly inside the browser so you can see your code working live in real time. One thing I want beginners to understand is that coding is not just about writing random code. Developers also need to stay organized and use the right tools because having a good setup makes coding easier, faster, and much more professional. So, let's get started. The first tool we're going to look at is Visual Studio Code, also known as VS Code. VS Code is one of the most popular code editors in the world because it is fast, beginner-friendly, and packed with useful features that help developers write code more efficiently. The version I'm using is already installed on my computer. But if you don't already have it installed, you can simply open your browser, search for VS Code, and download it from the official website. Once you open VS Code, you'll see the main workspace. On the left side, you'll find the Explorer panel. This is where all your project folders and files will be organized. Keeping your files organized is extremely important in web development because larger projects can contain many folders, images, CSS files, JavaScript files, and other resources. If your files are not organized properly, it becomes difficult to manage your project later on. Now, let's create our first project folder. I'm going to create a folder called My First Website. This folder will contain everything related to this project. Inside that folder, we'll create an HTML file called index.html. This file will contain the structure of our web page. The reason most developers use the name index.html is because it is commonly recognized as the homepage file of a website. Next, I'll show you how to write a simple HTML structure and save the file properly. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is used to create the structure of a website. It controls things like headings, paragraphs, buttons, images, links, navigation bars, and many other elements that appear on a web page. You can think of HTML as the skeleton of a website because it gives the website its basic structure. After creating the HTML structure, we'll also create a CSS file called style.css. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS is responsible for the design and appearance of the website. It controls colors, fonts, spacing, layouts, animations, and many other visual aspects that make websites look professional and attractive. Without CSS, websites would look plain and boring with only basic text on the screen. After creating both files, I'll show you how to connect the CSS file to the HTML file, as the browser can read both files together. This step is very important because it allows the styles from the CSS file to affect the HTML web page. After that, we'll open the file inside the browser to preview our website and see our code working live. One of the best things about web development is that you can instantly see your progress while coding. Whenever you make changes to your code, you can refresh the browser and immediately see the updates. Now, another important tool we'll install is an extension called Live Server. Live Server is extremely useful because it automatically refreshes the browser whenever you save your code. This means you don't have to keep manually refreshing your web page every single time you make a small change. This helps developers work much faster and makes the coding process smoother and easier. Especially for beginners, We'll also test the website by changing text, adding colors, adjusting fonts, and making simple design updates using CSS. This will help you understand how HTML and CSS work together to create real web pages. Another important thing beginners should understand is that learning web development takes practice and patience. When most people first start coding, they usually make small mistakes like forgetting tags, missing brackets, or typing something incorrectly. And honestly, that's completely normal. Even professional developers still make mistakes while coding. The important thing is learning how to solve problems step by step and understanding how your code works. One useful feature inside VS Code is syntax highlighting. This feature automatically changes the colors of your code to make different parts easier to read and understand. For example, HTML tags, text, and attributes may all appear in different colors, helping developers spot mistakes more quickly. Another helpful thing about VS Code is auto-completion. Sometimes, while typing code, VS Code will automatically suggest tags or complete parts of your code for you. This can save a lot of time and also help beginners learn proper coding structure faster. As you continue practicing HTML and CSS, you'll slowly begin understanding how websites are built behind the scenes. At first, coding may look difficult or confusing, but over time, things start making more sense the more you practice. That's why consistency is very important. Even if you only practice coding a little bit every day, you'll continue improving step by step. And remember, every professional web developer you see today once started as a beginner. As you continue learning web development, you'll eventually move into more advanced topics like responsive design, JavaScript, animations, frameworks, and back-end development. But before reaching those advanced stages, it's very important to first understand the basics and build a strong foundation. And that's exactly what we're doing in this series. Once everything is connected and working properly, you'll officially have your first beginner web development workspace fully set up. And honestly, this is one of the biggest first steps every web developer takes when starting their coding journey. In part 3, we'll finally start writing more real code, building our web page step by step, and learning how developers create actual websites using HTML and CSS together. So make sure you stay tuned for the next video.